If I showed you two different persons and asked you which one is looking like a winner, well, of course you would pick the left one. You see, every discussion has always these two sides. One asserting as dominant while other keeps its submissiveness. Just like an MMA fight where you can tell the winner by the end of the first round. So in debates, interviews, fights, and pretty much every interaction in life, there has always been a superiority concept. The question I want to ask is, how does it decide it in the modern world? Now, there's plenty of answers to that. You can say by physicality, by money, by intelligence. By the way, none of these answers are in any way false, but if you ask me, they're just missing a key point. They're not practical. Because of that, I want to tell you something which is more instinctual and used since the dawn of human time. That is body language. Now, I want to tell you this. Everything you do in your life is like a game of chess. You sometimes make mistakes which leads to your opponent's advantage. And as the game goes on, you will realize that it is not you anymore who decides the moves. That's because the mistakes you made piled up so much that you have no other choice than just complying. So what I mean by that is, even if you know that acting to certain moves will lower your chance to success, you cannot decide to do otherwise, because you already made so much mistake that it is now impossible to carry on. This principle applies to your interactions and the game of body language. And like every game, you can improve yourself. I'll explain the importance of body language with an example of Indian farmers. So these Indian farmers are having huge problem with tiger attacks while harvesting, and no precaution has been effective until they put these masks on. And all of a sudden, all the tiger attacks have dropped significantly. Now you're probably saying, how the hell did that happen? The reason these masks worked very well is because tigers won't take the risk. So does every animal in this world. I'm saying body language at a survival level must resemble that. You're not an easy target. I said survival level, but this also applies to every standard if you stretch a bit. Because what makes somebody respect your borders is directly correlated with your power, with your ability to look like a threat. That is also what makes a woman attracted to you. And most importantly, that is what gives you that subtle vibe. Not your fucking One Piece collection. To improve your body language, you actually know what to do. You must have resources, get connections, talk to people, go to gym, take risks. And because you all have that power indicators, I want to focus on subtle moves which specify on power, and moves which are not. First point I will make is smile less. Because smiling is most of the time a kind of submission. A great example for this is apes. If you look close to it, when the alpha is around, other males will show their teeth to make it clear that they are not challenging the boss. And this is exactly the reason why you should avoid most of the time and give it a value. And by saying that, I don't mean never smile or be arrogant. But once you do this, you will notice that how people start to talk about how they made you smile. The second point is changing gears. Changing the way you act. This is important when you're trying to prove a point. You may seen or done this by talking slow, playing the dumb in the situation. And just when you wanted to attack, you suddenly change to the reasonable fast-talking guy. But this one must be used very wisely. It can make you look like the passive-aggressive guy with a grudge against his past. Third point is using hands. This can be used in many various ways, but also has to do with your own style. Because back in the day, Soviet agents were educated about using their hands while speaking, and the purpose was to be less intimidating with each move, so they can assassinate somebody much more easier. But your purpose could be to make a point, to punctuate something. It works in many ways, but remember, using your hands are perceived as aggressiveness. So keep in mind and don't copycat everything you see. As much as I want to talk more about this conversation, there is really no end to it. So see you in the next one.